OdeeLoccSportsInfo here, back with another vid for you guys. Yeah, y'all, hit that subscribe, like, bell icon so y'all can be notified of this real, because y'all know OdeeLoc keeps it real. Yeah, y'all, let's do another breakdown of the Terrence Bud Crawford lawsuit, because I went on a little rant yesterday. I had to get rid of that video. I'm going to start doing that type of stuff on other channels, though. But let's share the screen. Let's share the lawsuit. Chrome tab. Let's share the lawsuit real fast. Okay. Scroll back up. Scroll back up. Scroll down a little bit. Okay. Crawford seeks upwards of $10 million in compensation, including specific amounts of 4.5 under the first breach of contract claim and an unpaid $900,000 bonus as specified in the second breach of contract claim. Okay, he wants $10 million. Terrence Bud Crawford, he wants $10 million, right? And his bonus, right? He wants $10 million. He wants upwards of $10 million. And I've been trying to figure out, what went on. Okay, he re-signed to Bob Arum in 2018, right? And he signed a 3-year extension, right? So that's through 2021. That's through 2021. And and that's through 2021. Let's stop this screen right here. We're about to stop this screen. Let's share this other screen. Let's share this other screen. Let's go to Terrence Bud Crawford box rec, right? Let's go to his box rec. Terrence Bud Crawford, his box rec. I don't know why his picture ain't up there. But Sean Porter 2021, Kell Brook 2020. But let's go down. Okay, he had 2 fights. Okay. He had 2 fights in 2018. So that's fulfilled. He had 2 fights in 2019. That's fulfilled. But he was supposed to get Errol Spence Jr. right before Velasquez. He didn't want to fight Velasquez. Right? He didn't want to fight Velasquez, and he didn't want to fight Kell Brook either. Right? He didn't want to fight Velasquez. But I want people to remember in 2019, Errol Spence Jr. took on Mikey Garcia for his first pay-per-view. Right? And then once the pay-per-view numbers came out, everybody started talking about pay-per-view numbers, right? So 2019, he had 2 fights. But in 2020, the pandemic started, right? It started in 2020. So nobody really wanted to get in the ring until everybody knew what was going on. That's why the fight is later on in the year with Kell Brook. And then he fought Sean Porter, over a year later. Right? Because he wanted Errol Spence Jr. again. He wanted Errol Spence Jr. from Velasquez. Right? Really before, really, man, he really wanted him, before Jeff Horn. Period. He really wanted Errol Spence or Keith Thurman after Julius Ndongo. Right? But they told him to get a belt. So he fought Jeff Horn, got a belt. Then he came back to Errol Spence Jr. after he got a belt, right? And then they started talking, that side of the street stuff and all that, right? So he had to fight who he had to fight. But okay, now let's stop the screen. But with that technicality, right? And I'm about to prove that Errol Spence Jr. he fought. Let's prove that Errol Spence Jr. that he had fought Mikey in 2019. Look, bam, 3/2019. and he fought Mikey. Then they start talking about pay-per-view numbers. Remember, after this fight, they start talking about pay-per-view numbers, and he's the clear A side, he's the clear man, he's the clear this, he's the clear that, right? Then he fought Sean Porter. He did, the numbers start going down, but they still talking about numbers and numbers and numbers. So basically what I'm saying, y'all, basically what I'm saying in this stream is Bob Arum, he really got in a conundrum, right? It's not like he wasn't trying to get the Earl Spence Jr. fight. Earl Spence Jr. just didn't want to fight. So with that technicality, right, and with the pandemic kicking in, Bob Arum, he really fucked himself, right? Because he re-signed Terrence Bud Crawford in 2018. Didn't nobody know that the pandemic was going to come in 2020, right? Didn't nobody know that it was going to slow down boxing? And that's what happened. It slowed down boxing. Earl Spence Jr., he got in the car accident after Sean Porter. Remember that? It slowed it down even more. Right? So it's not that Bob Arum wasn't trying to get the fight. It just had delays in Earl Spence Jr. car accident. Then he get a retina injury. Then the pandemic happened. It just, bro, shit happened. Right? So by that technicality, right, like me, I think that he owes him that 900,000. Period. He owes him that 900,000. Period. But as far as trying to get him to fight with Earl Spence Jr., if Earl Spence Jr. don't want to fight, but we can also say this, like those last two fights against Kavalaskis and against Kavalaskis, Kell Brook, and Sean Porter. Right now, he could probably get 900,000 apiece for those fights. Right, because Bob Arum was supposed to secure him a big fight, but he did secure a big fight with Sean Porter. That's a big. That was a kind of a big fight, so he can excuse that one. But Kavalaskis and Kell Brook, right? He can probably get 900,000 apiece for that. Right, because if y'all go back and look at the interviews, he didn't want to fight Kavalaskis or Kell Brook. He did not want to fight these people. He wanted Earl Spence Jr. But people have to remember Earl Spence Jr. was on the fucking bench, right? But when he fought Kavalaskis, Earl Spence Jr. had already had the car accident. Shout out to Punch Quote. Once other issues, maybe he couldn't get Manny versus Ugas of all people who got the Manny fight. Yeah, exactly. Man, like they was trying to get the Manny Pacquiao fight too. That's why he was mad too. You got to think about Crawford. He is mad because he wanted them, Bob Arum, to get him these fights, but he not realizing these dudes want an arm and a fucking leg to fight you, bro. This is what Crawford is not realizing. These dudes want their highest paydays to fight you, and these promoters are not trying to lose no money. You see that Al Heyman, he ain't trying to go half, right? He ain't trying to go half. The fight will be easy to make. The fight will be easy as fuck to make if Al Heyman, if he pay Earl Spence 10 million and Bob Arum, he pay you 10 million, then y'all just come together and y'all make the fight and they pump it. I mean, like, you feel what I'm saying? But Al don't want to come to the table. Al wanted all on his plate. Al wanted all at the PBC. That's what it's about with Al. Al, he will put on, like the black versus white or the Hispanic versus black. He will put on these fights. Yes, he will put them on with no problem, but when it comes to black on black fight, he want them to be in-house. Period. He want the black on black fighters to be in-house. Period. He don't want to share that because they don't think that they're going to get back a good revenue. So they don't want to share that. So Al Heyman, he has his doubts about black fighters too. Come on. The man, he didn't put Wilder on pay-per-view until AJ came into the picture. Wilder was knocking out everybody. But he didn't put the man on pay-per-view until Anthony Joshua came into the picture. Shout out to Dolomite, my nigga, in my training day voice. Got it. All that Spence being on the side. Yeah, no, yeah, man. But Spence, he been on the sideline for shit like damn near as long as Keith Thurman. Think about when he got in the accident, he was out the ring for what, 14 to 16 months. Then he came back, had one fight, started training, and then got injured again. Right? Should have been out for almost over. Should have been out for what? For about 8-9 months this time. So altogether, Earl Spence Jr., he has been out the ring for probably over 2 years. Right? You put it all together. This man has been out the ring for almost 2 years. Over 2 years. Crawford, you can't fight this man if he's not even in the fucking picture. Bro, you even said after the like before the Kavaliauskas fight, I don't want to fight Earl Spence Jr. coming straight off a car accident. I want him to get a tune-up. Right? And what happened? They prolonged the shit all the way to the next year. Right? Oh, now, remember Earl Spence Jr., he said he was going to come back, what, the spring of that next year. Right? No, he came back, shit, the fall. Right? He came back in the ring the fall of the next year. He didn't come back the spring like he said he was. He came back the fall. So with all these technicalities, Crawford, he's probably going to get some kind of money, but he's not going to get, he's not going to get all that money because they got a pandemic involved, right? Earl Spence Jr. was injured 2 times, right? Danny Garcia turned down money. But shit like Udanis Ugis, he didn't want to fight him in 2019. Crawford called him out too. Remember, Udanis Ugis, he went for the vacant WBA belt. Crawford called him out in 2019. He went for the vacant WBA belt against Abel. I think it was Abel Ramos. Right? He went for the vacant belt. He ducked Crawford. So the whole thing with this lawsuit is Crawford is upset that Bob Arum, he can't get him no big fights. But Bob Arum can't make these guys fight you, man. And plus, why in the hell do Bob Arum have to pay these guys? Shit, like Keith Thurman wanted fucking 10 million. Keith Thurman actually wanted $10 million to get in the ring with Terrence Bud Crawford, and he didn't even get that much to fight Pacquiao. But Pacquiao, he wanted $20 million. When he found out it was more money on the table, he wanted 40. Did he make $40 million versus Earl Smith Jr.? Versus Udanis Ugis? Hell no. Did he make $40 million versus Keith Thurman? Hell no. So why in the fuck do he want $40 million to fight Terrence Bud Crawford? Because all these guys, they know he's dangerous, right? They know he's dangerous. So they want their highest payday, right? Because they don't know how they're going to come out the ring. They don't know how they're going to come out the ring. Shout out to Dolomite. Fans haven't figured out Al don't care about how big the pot is as long as he control all. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Al, he really doesn't. But Al, he just as biased against black fighters as fucking Bob Arum. Period. The only promoter who I really see who give black fighters they real shot is Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn is the only promoter that's out there that really give black fighters a push. Right? Think about Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder should have been a fucking star. He was knocking out everybody. Everybody. But it took for Anthony Joshua to call him out for him to blow up. Right? Then at the end of the day, we don't even get that fight. Who Al Heyman put him in a ring with? Tyson Fury. Come on. Just like I don't even think that we're going to get this fight between Earl Spence Jr. and Terrence Boyd Crawford. I think Al Heyman is waiting on Virgil Ortiz. That's who Al Heyman is waiting on, because Virgil Ortiz is what, from Dallas too, right? So 2 Dallas guys going at it, 1 Hispanic, 1 black. Y'all better read through the lines, man. 1 Hispanic, 1 is black, and you know that they love to do that shit, right? That's a big money fight. You just let Virgil Ortiz build up a little bit, right? Now let's go to the WB. I want to put in the WB rankings, man. Let me see. Can I go to the W? Hold on, you guys. Let me go to the the IBF rankings. IBF rankings real quick. See, look, and I told you guys what was going to happen. See, but it's like people, they don't believe me when I be saying this type of stuff. You feel what I'm saying? Okay, screen, y'all. Let's share the screen real quick. I had to type it in, you guys. Let's share it. See, now people, they don't believe me when I said this about Keith Thurman. See, look. Don't you remember when I did a video, last week? I did a video last week. This had the other dude there. But you see these 2 spots? Huh? Y'all see them 2 spots? They vacant. Why? Why are these 2 spots vacant? Why? You know why? Because if Keith Thurman wins this fight, don't be surprised if he mysteriously pops up right here, because they're going to try to put Keith Thurman to block Boots from fighting Earl. Yeah. Man, this shit is so easy to do, man. Man, it's so easy to do. They're going to put Keith up in this area, right? They're going to put Keith number 1, number 2, so he can block Boots, right? Then if you go to the WBC rankings, Virgil Ortiz is number 1. And he's fighting the number 3. No, he's fighting the number 3 or number 4 in the WBO. Virgil Ortiz next fight is against the guy Michael Kennison, number 3, number 4 in the WBO. So he's fighting in the WBO, but he already ranked number 1 in the WBC. Virgil Ortiz, y'all got the, man, like this boxing shit, like how these sanctioning bodies, how they be trying to confuse us. You feel what I'm saying? They got these 2 spots vacant for a reason, y'all. They got these 2 spots vacant for a reason. They vacant for a reason, y'all, because they're going to put somebody right there. So don't be surprised if Mario Barrios win, right? Don't be surprised if Mario Barrios pops up right there. Keith Thurman, somebody going to pop up right there to block Boots. Right? Somebody's going to pop up right there to block Boots from getting to Earl. quicker. But yeah, y'all, this shit is like, man, like boxing is Crawford. Well, Crawford has a case of, of breach of contract and stuff like that, but all that racial stuff, I don't agree with all that because I really feel in my heart that Bob Arum was trying to get him that fucking fight. I really feel Bob Arum was trying to get him that fight. Remember when they met backstage at the Maurice Hooker fight? Bob Arum was right there. Bob Arum was right there. And what did Earl Smith Jr. say? Oh, man, now you said that Al Heyman, he don't even exist. No, motherfucker, we talking about the fight. You deflecting. See, you deflecting. You said that Al Heyman, he don't even exist. Motherfucker, you know I know that Al Heyman exists because I done did fights with Al Heyman. The fuck are you talking about? What Bob Arum was basically saying, this motherfucker don't never be seen. He like a phantom. Nobody never see him. He just making moves, right? He like the Wizard of Oz. This motherfucker, he just making moves behind the curtains. That's why he can never be, that's why, the PBC fanboys, they love to defend him because he don't say nothing. So what? I can see his fucking moves from what his people doing. Right? Gary Russell Jr., shit, it seemed like that he wanted Leo Santa Cruz for how many years? And he never gave him that fight. Why? Why you never gave Gary Russell Jr. the Leo Santa Cruz fight? Because Leo was making more money than Gary Russell Jr. Period. Period, point blank. And he didn't want to destroy Leo. Right? But he would send Leo to go and fight Tank. Right? Because Tank is, like they trying to build up Tank. They didn't want to build up Gary Russell. Come on, y'all. They probably got mad at Gary Russell Jr. because he lost to Lomachenko or something. This is just how petty that Al Heyman is. Yeah, y'all don't get it. Y'all don't get it. If you come out, you say something bad about Al Heyman, he's gonna put your ass in the doghouse. Period, point blank. Ask AB. Come on, man. He's gonna put you in the doghouse. So this is why I can't understand, these fake ass fans that be, oh man, but Al Heyman, no, Al Heyman is doing what's best for Al Heyman, right? Just like Bob Arum, he probably doing what's best for Bob. Frank Warren doing what's best for Frank Warren. Oscar doing what's best for Oscar. The only promoter that I really think who go out of his way is Eddie Hearn. This is just my opinion. This is the only one that I feel like that goes out of his way to try to promote his fucking fighters. Why? Because he's young. He's spry. Man, he gets out there. He talks to every fucking body. Everybody. You can see Eddie Hearn on one of the littlest channels talking to these people. You like, what the fuck is that? He talks to everybody. These old dudes, they need to go. Well, shout out to Dolomite. That Marcus Hookers video is a great example. Fans don't look at that. Bob don't pull up like that with all his exactly. Bob, he just don't just be walking around with his fighters. No, Crawford made him come over there, bro. Let's try to make this fight right here, right now, on camera, right? And this dude start coming with all these fucking excuses. Saying what Al got this plan for you. Al got this plan for you, but you saying at the same time you your own promoter. Make it make sense. You saying you your own promoter, but Al got this plan for you. You saying that you your own boss, but Al making a plan. Shit, if I'm my boss, if I'm my own boss, ain't nobody telling me shit. Fuck are you talking about, bro? I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm the boss. right? That's common sense. If you're the boss, you can do what the fuck you want to do. Can't nobody tell you what to do unless you want to follow that plan. And that's exactly what Earl Spence Jr. did. He want to follow that plan. Just like when Crawford said, "Oh man, he didn't mention me." Oh no, man, he didn't mention you. That should have let us know right there. He's not fighting the man. He's not fighting the man. But for Crawford to, come out and say he wouldn't promote, man, bro, this is a new age of boxing. You don't need a promoter. All you have to do is get on Twitter, Instagram, talk some shit. That's it. That's all. Get on there, allow fighters talk shit. People gonna follow. You see when you did the Ocean, the Ocean skit, not a skit, but the Ocean call out, right? When you did the Ocean call out, calling him all out his name and all that, it went viral. Earl Spence Jr. didn't say shit. His fans had to make up something for him to say, right? His fans came out with a fake tweet just to make him seem like that he responded. Then you respond back, and then he hurry up and say, "Oh no, man, it was fake, bro. That was fake." Come on, man. He hurry up and say, "Hey, man, like that tweet was fake, bro. It wasn't me. Somebody that hacked some. I don't know what's going on, but it wasn't me, TC. It wasn't me, bro." You feel what I'm saying? Come on, homie. You got him shook. You got this boy shook. He is shook. See you knock out Sean Porter and damn near, man, you heard the pew. You heard the pew sound behind his ass. Pew. And see the cloud of smoke, right? Pew. Where the hell did Earl go? Shit, like Earl in the car, man. Earl in the car put on his seatbelt, telling security to get the hell out of here. I've never seen no boxer do no shit like that. I swear to God, I have never seen no boxer see another boxer get knocked out, know he's about to get called out in the ring, and get the fuck on. I never seen it. I never seen it. Right? You make a great announcement that you're gonna show up to the fight, you're gonna call out the winner, all this stuff, you're gonna show up. But the wrong winner won, huh? As soon as he won the fight, pew, I'm out of here, bro. I don't want to talk to nobody. Don't put no spotlight on me. Don't bring no camera over here. I don't even want him to see me in the building. Right? I don't even want him to know I was really here. I just, I got to get out of here quick as possible. I never seen it before in boxing. And if somebody have, show me, prove it. I never seen a so-called gladiator, a so-called, tough man fighter run. Come on, man. The guy is shook. So basically, Bob Arum, you got yourself in a conundrum, bruh, right? You thought that Earl Spence Jr. had more heart than what he got, but it comes to find out he shook. He just don't want to fight the man. And you thought that you can get that fight, Bob, right? Because you make big fights, right? So you thought that you can negotiate that fight, but you didn't realize that Earl Spence Jr. does not want to fight that man. It doesn't matter how much money y'all give him. He doesn't want to fight Terrence Bud Crawford. It's about a pride, a ego, embarrassment thing. He know he's going to get embarrassed. He know he's going to look super average in a ring with a skillful fighter like Crawford. He's going to look so average, and he don't want to be exposed as that fighter. And his fans don't want him to be exposed as that fighter. So they will throw up every roadblock in the world, right? Say that we want Undisputed. When we first wanted that fight, we didn't give a fuck about Undisputed. Right? Yeah. Embarrassed and stopped. But when that fight first started, we don't care about Undisputed. We just wanted to see them two fight. That's it. They didn't have to have no belts. We just wanted to see them two fight. But, Earl Spence, he used the Keith Thurman tactic. Shout out to Punch Quote on he's not going to play with Spence like he. Yeah, no, but yeah, exactly. Like see, when they met up face to face, you have to really look at Crawford's eyes. Really look at how he was looking at him. Earl Spence Jr. was trying to laugh and joke and all that, but he seen it in his eyes. Y'all have to understand, man. Crawford is not all the way there. He's there, but it's just got just certain people who like to fight, right? It's just certain people out there who just like violence, like to beat up people. And Crawford is one of those guys. And the thing about it, he has skills with it. Skills. This is what I say about Deontay Wilder. If Deontay Wilder had half this, if Deontay Wilder had some body shots, right? Like if he just throwing a body shot, some left hooks, if he had some decent footwork, Deontay Wilder would have beat the fuck out of Tyson Fury. Let's just be honest. Deontay Wilder, if he took boxing serious how he was taking it before he started getting the money, then he started acting like a diva, right? This is when his new fans start coming, because I remember the Deontay Wilder that didn't have no tattoos, right? That wore a suit everywhere, was trying to be was clean everywhere he go. Right? He didn't have no cornrows. He wasn't trying to, he didn't have on none of that jewelry, none of that shit. But a lot of the new Wilder fans, they don't remember that Wilder because they wasn't watching Deontay Wilder then. Right? But if Deontay Wilder would have stayed that man, worked on his skills, been really active in the gym and worked on shit and not just rely on his power, Deontay Wilder would have been unstoppable. That's just a fact. He would have been unstoppable. But since he wasn't, but since he didn't work on it and he took it as a joke, he thought that, that his power gonna always bail him out. Hey, now he is where he is now. But Crawford is a guy who take his craft serious. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. You doesn't see him out in the park. Shit at the club, doing all this old crazy shit. A family man. He's always in the gym. Even Bob Arum, he admitted that. That's another reason why he's not that popular, right? Because Bob Arum said we used to try to get him to go to these certain interviews, go to these certain events, go to these certain places, and he had turned it down because he's in the gym. He's training, right? Which is nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, you got to balance it out. You have to balance it out. But he just don't want to get distracted by nothing else. Hearing, talking to this guy, traveling this where, traveling here, traveling there. That takes energy out of you. Talking to these people, walking up these stairs, walking down these, doing this. No, bro, I just want to stay in the ring. In training camp, get my train on, do my thing. That's your job, Bob. That's how he looked at it. That's your job, Bob. Bob, go and do your job, Bob. Right? And he not even realizing, this is another thing, he not even realizing that them PBC guys are not what they say they are. Crawford, they not what they say they are. If they can't pay you what you want, they not what they say they are. They not. Or the reason that they not paying you is because Al Heyman, he wants your ass over there. He wants you to come over there and sign a multiple fight deal like Pacquiao did, right? And we all know why Pacquiao went back over there. Pacquiao went back over there to try to fight Floyd Mayweather again. And what they did, they bamboozled his ass. They made him come back over there, kept on promising him the Floyd Mayweather fight, and they just steady feeding him to these young lions. Right? Kept on promising him to fight. Kept on promising him to fight. Pacquiao, he fell for it. Fell for it. This is another thing. See, like people, like they be thinking that I'm a conspiracy theorist. I said no. Look, shout out to Punch Score. Look, Wilder skills started to go down after Stavern. Yeah, yeah, exactly. After the first Stavern fight. Why? Because he showed great boxing skills in that first Stavern fight. Great boxing skill. He was on his toes, moving, jabbing, moving, hooking. Oh, man, bro, he was showing good skill. He kept Stavern off his ass. Right? He kept Stavern off of him. Then once he got that belt, once Wilder became a champion, man, he just started falling off. Right? He started going down, 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 down. And you like, damn, bro, what's going on? You getting hit by punches that you used to dodge. Right? So, man, I don't know. But yeah, y'all. So boxing is, I just want to make it very clear that Al Heyman is doing the same shit that Bob Arum is doing. Right? Just because you don't see him, just because you don't hear from him, doesn't mean he's not doing it. Right? It's obvious what he doing. He trying to freeze out Crawford so he can have no other choice but to go to the PBC. That's what this was all about. Why y'all think that Sean Porter retired? Because he already knew once he fought Crawford, he was going to be in the doghouse with Al Heyman. Right? So I might as well get my last payday, get up out of here because I'm not fighting under these young dudes because I already know what Al Heyman he gonna do. He gonna try to get me in the ring with all these young dudes, try to get me beat up, right? Because I went against the grain, so-called against the grain. Think about Danny Jacobs when Danny Jacobs left. Al Heyman wasn't fucking with him. Come on. Think about Lou DiBella. Lou DiBella got Deontay Wilder a $120 million offer from the Zone. Lou DiBella got him $120 million offer from the Zone. And what did Al Heyman do? He got rid of Lou DiBella. He got rid of him. He said, bro, you got to get the fuck up out of here. Come on. You going against the grain. So, see, even Lou DiBella, he thought that they really wanted to fight. Right, with AJ. But they didn't. They didn't even really want to fight. How could you set up a $100+ million deal? You set up this for a fighter, and then you get fired? What? They tell you that they don't no longer need your services after you set up the highest deal that Deontay Wilder will ever get? But Al Heyman isn't, like, what's wrong with y'all? Bro, I just don't be knowing what be wrong with these people. This man is not good for boxing. He just should, at least Bob Arum will cross the, at least he will so-called cross the, the invisible street, whatever they come up with now. right? He will work with Eddie Hearn. He has did multiple fights with Eddie Hearn. He has did multiple fights with Al Heyman, right? It's just certain fights. It got to be a black and white. It got to be a black and Hispanic, right? Them are the type of fights that he sets up with other promoters. But when it come down to black, Al Heyman ain't doing it, right? He not doing it unless one of them can come out to try to be something. And they all focus on Earl Spence Jr. You know why? Because he has a state behind him in Texas. And I think it has what 29, 30 million people in Texas. If they can get a piece of that market, right? Let's say if they can get a million, let's just say that they can get a million loyal people to buy a pay-per-view out of that 30. That's why they focusing on Earl Spence Jr. Come on. That's the only reason why they focusing on him, because he in Texas. You see that they try to do that with the Jamal and Jamel, but they can't sell. Why? Because don't nobody really like them. So Earl Spence Jr., he really owed all his fame, all his publicity to Floyd Mayweather. Period. Because nobody was thinking about Earl before Floyd said he beat me up in sparring. Right? Nobody was thinking about Earl until Floyd Mayweather came out and co-signed for him. Period. So, yeah, y'all. Boxing is crazy. That's why I take long breaks away from this, from this insanity, man, because it's crazy. I mean, for real. But for Terrence Bud Crawford, at the end of the day, to be mad at Bob Arum, right? Well, no, when he had that, no, when he had the press conference with Sean Porter, and I forgot the white guy name, Tom something. I think his name was Tom something. And he basically said it comes down to the fighters. And Crawford said, repeat that. That should let you know right there, Crawford. That lets you know what's going on. Bob is willing to make the fight, but is the other guy willing to fight you? If he not willing to fight you, he can offer him 200 million. If he not willing to get in the ring with you, bro, it doesn't matter. I know you want that fight. We all know you want that fight. And I don't even know why you chasing the fight that much anyway, because it's like, shit, you done did way more. But your attitude is, see, like Terrence Crawford attitude is, okay, they've been saying that he can beat me up all this time. I'm gonna go up there, I'm gonna whoop his ass. That's why you want the fight so bad. Just to prove a point, right? We know you can beat his ass. He don't want to fight you. Keith Thurman, he probably ain't gonna fight you. After this Mario Barrios, they're not gonna fight you, bro. They got Al Heyman is advising these dudes, don't fight him. Stay away from him. He's cornered in. He has nowhere to go. He either gonna come to the PBC or retire. That's your only two options in my eyes, because man, are you accusing, Bob Arum and all this stuff? I don't see you getting the Josh Taylor fight, that easy. And if you do get the fight, you got to go to Scotland, and you already know what's gonna happen to your ass over there now. You already know what's gonna happen to you now over there. Probably before you had a shot, but now you're not leaving, Scotland with your belt, right? Me, I honestly think that Bob Arum, that Bob Arum, he got love for Crawford. That's what I actually think. I actually think that Bob Arum has love for Crawford, probably more than any of his other fighters, black fighters, ever. Probably like next to Muhammad, right? You feel what I'm saying? But other than that, I like because I have seen a lot of interviews with him saying that that Earl Spence Jr. don't want to fight. Man, I mean, like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, we've been trying to make this fight. Al Heyman, he's willing to make the fight. I'm willing to make the fight. It's Errol Spence who don't want to fight. He has said this on several occasions. Al willing to make it. I'm willing to make it. It's Earl. No, but really, it's Al. Right? Because Al is advising Earl not to take the fight. We got they have the pressure on Crawford now. They have the pressure on him. Where he gonna go? What he's gonna do? Eddie Hearn don't have no welterweights. Oscar De La Hoya, he got a few, right? Who else got welterweights? The PBC. You done messed off the Josh Taylor fight. You probably done messed off a couple more fights you could have had with Bob Arum, right? So it's like, bro, like you just burnt the bridge. The only bridge you probably had is like, what the hell? Okay, okay. That's Bob Arum. He's an asshole. I get it. I understand. But Al Heyman is an asshole. Shit, they be having his back like a motherfucker. Soon as they win a fight, oh man, but thank you, Al. Damn shit, like you ain't gonna thank your mama, your daddy, God. Y'all praise this dude like he God. He's not fucking God. He's a fucking crook. Dolomite, shout out to Dolomite. Bob was trying to feed Mikey Garcia to Crawford. Now think how Crawford popularity would have been if Mikey Garcia didn't choose to sit out too. Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Man, like just like with the Pacquiao fight. Bro, Bob Arum, he knew that you can whoop Pacquiao ass and all that shit. Pacquiao was bringing him in so much money, right? Pacquiao was his pay-per-view star back then, bro. Right? Then after Pacquiao, he started fading. He tried to get you the Pacquiao fight after Pacquiao started falling. I mean, like, start falling off the pay-per-view numbers like that. He tried to get you to fight. Pacquiao ain't fighting your ass either. Why don't he? I really can't get it about Crawford. Crawford just don't understand. You are dangerous, bruh. You probably need to go in the ring and get knocked down a couple of times or something, right? Seem vulnerable, bro, because that's the only way that you're going to get these fights from these guys. These guys look at you as too dangerous, right? He's a high risk, so I want a high reward. I want my highest payday ever fighting this dude because I don't know how I'm going to come out the ring. This dude can put me in a fucking coma. Then what? Why y'all think that Kenny Porter stopped the fight? Because he know this man since he was a teenager. Crawford actually called him out. A grown man when he was a grown man. He was a teenager. And Kenny Porter said, I seen the look in his eyes and I knew he was serious. Crawford been a killer. So come on, y'all. Yeah, man, but boxing is fucked up. Crawford, he going to get some money. I think he's going to get some money. Crawford is going to get some money, but he's not going to get that $10 million, right? Because it got a pandemic involved. It has a pandemic involved. It has injuries involved. It has, it has two injuries involved. It has a pandemic. It has new variants of this, the C-19 going around. So, man, so Bob Arum, he got a lot of stuff to work with to say why he didn't get that fight for him, right? Bob Arum, he has a lot of excuses on why that fight didn't happen with Earl Spence Jr. And it's like, bro, man, I mean, he just don't want to fight you, bro. You can be upset, you can be mad at the world, but if a man don't want to fight you, he just don't want to fight you, bro. And it don't matter what nobody tells him, what nobody says, right? If he really wanted to fight you, it don't matter what Al Heyman tell him. He's gonna fight you. Period. But let's think about this. Earl Spence Jr. probably know if he do fight Crawford, Al Heyman gonna throw him in the doghouse too. See, like people, I just don't like Al. Yeah, I said it. I just don't like Al. I just don't like him. Even though he doesn't say nothing, he doesn't do nothing. I just don't like him because I see the moves that he making behind the scenes. You can just see the shit playing out. You can see it playing out right before your eyes. You can see it playing out. He's gonna do the same shit. This is what I said before this fight even got popping. I said Al Heyman's gonna do the same shit with that he did with Wilder. He's gonna do it with Earl Spence Jr. Just like he did the same thing with Keith Thurman. He's doing with Earl Spence Jr. He follows a certain plan, right? He finds a certain model. He follows a certain thing to do. And if people pay attention, they can figure out his pattern. They can figure it out. Earl Spence Jr. is not going to fight Crawford, right? Earl Spence Jr. I don't even look, because let's say he wins the 3 belts, who he's going to fight? Stationis. They gon' they gonna find a way to get him in that ring with Virgil Ortiz or something, man. Watch. I feel like the Earl Spence Jr. is going to take on Virgil Ortiz before he takes on Boots, because it's a Hispanic versus black fight, and we all know as boxing fans they love to make those type of fights. They love the race bait fights, right? They love to put the boxing fans against each other. They love this shit. Plus, they both from Dallas, right? And we already know that they trying to make Earl Spence this big old star in Texas. So, yeah, y'all, that's all I got for y'all, man. Thank you guys for listening. Man, I appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment on the video. This OdeeLoccSportsInfo. I'm gone.